Public comment on issues and concerns not on the regular agenda at this time. A public comment request form must be submitted to the board liaison prior to the time the meeting is scheduled to begin. Public input on a regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Citizens should speak from the podium, address all comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or single-member district number, and limit their remarks to less than 3 minutes. Okay. No public comment today? All right, easy enough. We'll roll to item number 2, consent agenda, which is consider approving the June 4th, 2025 meeting minutes. Once everybody's had a chance to do so, I will accept a motion and a second.
I make the motion to approve the minutes. Yes. Yes, Dan.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. We're rolling down to item number 3, regular agenda, public hearing and comment. Item number 2, discuss the Northside Recreation Center and the Lakeview open space related to the effects of the July 4th flood and recommend any related matters.
Yes, I need y'all's recommendation, at least some input as to what you think we should do with this property and the building. Yes, the tragic floods of July 4, I think, caught all of us off guard but in surprise. But the community's reaction to it was awesome, and we all pulled together and helped everybody who needed help. People ask me, what all did we lose in terms of parks and recreation? My answer generally was, it's unfortunate, but unfortunate that we don't have a lot of assets in that part of the town that was flooded. We did have 3-4 playgrounds, 3 playground areas where the falls of material did wash away, and we filed a claim for that. We don't have many parks in that area, but Lakeview is an exception, and I'll give some background about this, but I think I took this picture the afternoon of July 4. I went out there several times, so I can't remember which day I took which pictures, but there's the open space. It's technically not a park, it's open space. This was the backside of the recreation center. This may have been either the Sunday, the day after, or the week after, looking by where the water is. This was probably the day after. This one was a few days later. That's the front door. See where the text is? The top of the front door is just right below there. It's flooded in that area before, but not quite this high that I've seen in 25 years.
Is that the one that sits low?
Yes.
That everything
yes.
is low?
Yeah,
like
I'm
a
going to cover some
detention
things
pond?
here. It kind of explains that. So yes, some background. The park was established in an old quarry site in 1971. The recreation center was built there at the end of the 70s. There's really no storm water in that area. The streets don't really serve as a conduit to direct the water to go into a different collection area. There's no underground stormwater drains. So that neighborhood just drains into that area. I call it a pit. In the distant past, you can't see it but in the pictures, but there used to be a sump pump back in this area. It was fenced off, and we were able to pump out of that pump area and pump it across the street into the adjacent vacant property, which is privately owned. But the private owner told us to stop. I mean, they gave permission and they took it away, basically. Primarily because the water was affecting there's a big tower there, communications tower, was affecting the footings of the tower. Back in the recession, 2008, 2009, Parks and Recreation, we lost some personnel and we lost some parks. There's 5 locations that were parks that were downgraded to open space. This location was one of them. It used to be called Lakeview Park. There used to be full-time staffing at the recreation center. After that, there was only part-time staffing. We were only able to open it up during the afternoons and for use of the gyms. There's one gym at that facility. We'd started to remove all the improvements at the park after it was downgraded, but the mayor at the time, Morrison, told us to stop because he was getting flack about it, which I understand, so we stopped. It's our fault. We should have gone back in there and removed all the improvements. Folks still think it's a park, but it's not a park. It's open space. We do continue to use the recreation center. Yeah, and with the last big rain, that's the most water we've ever seen in that park, that property, and in that building. So the first day I called Jesse or texted him and said that we got to turn the power off for the property, make sure there's just no utilities active on that property. So we did that. We reported it to our risk management folks. They reported it to Texas Municipal League, TML, and I don't know if they've been to the site yet, but they're coordinating to send somebody to go into the building just to make an assessment. The goal primarily is just to make it stabilized and make it not a health hazard, because with all the water, there's lots of mold and lots of critters moved in, and who all knows what else. But the rest of the staff, we've been directed not to go inside the building at all until they make their assessment. So there's no storm water in the area. The water's going to go back into the pit. There have been some folks asking, what are we going to do with the recreation center? At this point, we're just going to stabilize it. The decision needs to be made whether to file a claim and get it repaired, and I think that's going to be quite expensive, or to remove it. Staff's recommendation or Carl's recommendation is that the park needs to be open space and the building needs to be removed. It's unfortunate, but until there's stormwater in that area, there's really nothing you can do with that property. You could put things in like a trail, anything that wouldn't get affected by a flood. Trees, a concrete trail, not much else. So I wanted to have a discussion with y'all, get your opinion about it.
And if nothing changed, no repairs were made, another 100-year flood, it would flood again, likely. No.
And who's to say that may not come in 20 years?
Mm-hmm. No.
When was it last leased?
Oh, good question. We did lease the recreation center after we had reduced the full-time staffing to Paul Ann Baptist Church. We had a 3-year lease. Their first year was pretty successful. They were running programs out of it, but then it just kind of, I guess they refocused their efforts elsewhere, and it became less of a priority, and we terminated the lease halfway through the lease.
Okay. Was that, like, how many years ago?
It was shortly after 2009. It's about 2009, 2010.
Okay. So when's the last time has it had part-time staff here recently, or?
Yes, and we have been using it.
Okay.
Jesse?
Yes, so right now, because it doesn't have an AC unit inside of it, so we only use it for winter basketball,
Got it.
is what it was been used for. So that's the only program it really hurts right now for it to not be open back up.
And the boxing club had used it up until recent history.
Mm-hmm.
There's a second story, and most of their activities are on the second floor.
But it had like gymnasium, it had offices inside of it.
I mean, it had like a
I don't know, I've never been in it.
office space inside of it, and then like basically a room that you can store stuff in, or even make into like almost like a mini craft area type something. But for most part, it's just a gym.
And so, I'm sorry.
Oh.
And then I'd say just back to the flooding is it doesn't have to flood that bad for the water to get inside of the building as is. So that's the other thing to consider is like, it's not just, are we going to have a flood like that again? Are we going to have a flood at least 30% as bad in the future, you know?
Have you thought about like additional gym space to put that winter basketball? I mean, do you have the capacity to like move those games?
Yes, so pretty immediately after this happened, just for precaution, because with, you know, the ISD, they're heavily used. So we went ahead and talked to them about, hey, what are some options under the circumstances? The main thing that they have to offer is elementary school gyms, which helps us for practices during the week, but not for competition gyms on the weekend. So that's the part that's gonna hurt is, all right, if we're down a full-size court, you know, what do we need to alter and change? And the only thing I can think of is like maybe our oldest age group, you know, we don't do anymore, just to make room for our other age groups that are growing. But we would, or I was at the Lions Club meeting today, and even, you know, I was talking to them about some of the, because they asked about Northside, and trying to work with us on trying to find a church that has a full-size court. So if we can get someone like that, so that would be our options, to try and find a church or someone else who has a gym that we maybe not have used before,
Right.
or to just kind of restructure.
Right. I mean, I don't know if, I know that is such a puzzle to put the schedule together, but, you know, maybe adding a week on to the season or something, you know, where you're able to, I mean, I feel like that's the, you know, just the programs that were being used there. If you think you can find alternatives, I think that's just important to consider.
And then, Carl, were y'all looking for a recommendation from us to say yay or nay on it, or just
If you want to make a
discuss?
recommendation, you're welcome to. We're just trying to get some input.
Okay.
Recommendation would help us moving forward.
I think before decisions are made, check around and see if there are other facilities that can be used instead of that facility, and just let it go and move it so that it doesn't become inhabited by someone or things. There are other, I know, like First Presbyterian has a gym. I don't think they ever use theirs. I don't think.
Yeah, and that's like input I need, because again, if we can get in, basically, if we just get one more full-size court, I mean, that fixes the problems in terms of rec programming right there, because I mean, that's the only thing we've primarily been using it for is our winter basketball.
Do y'all utilize the Northside Boys and Girls Club, that basketball? Or no?
No,
I was just thinking of other alternatives on that side of town. It'd be a little of a hike to the east, but I was just curious on that one.
because it doesn't necessarily need to be as big as a junior high gym or anything, but it needs to be bigger than the elementary school gym so that we can fit some of our other age groups. Because already, you know, for Pee Wee, we already do those on Fridays, those games. Because the other thing we're thinking of is like, all right, can we move one more age group to a Friday to free up some gym space on a Saturday? But it's just, all right, how many staff do we have that can be at different gyms on a Friday compared to Saturday, and that type of puzzle situation.
Everybody on a Saturday versus.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, Heather, did I hear that as a motion to recommend removal?
Because of the expense that it would take to rebuild or repair, it's probably going to be extensive. And then there are probably alternatives that we could come up with in place of that, rather than spending that money and just let it go and let it be an open space. Remove the building completely to prevent any other hazards. So, is that as my motion to remove the building?
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those any other discussion?
I have a question. Has anyone been to the building? Like, is it still flooded, the area?
Which area?
Like where the building is? Like, has it
Yeah,
been
no,
pumped or is
the
it?
water's down. You can actually get
Get
into it
into
now,
it.
but we've been instructed not to go into
Okay.
it until they make their assessment and
Okay.
work to stabilize it.
No, I mean, I think if y'all can just work to find alternative space for the programs you were using it for, then yeah, I mean, let's just move forward on refurbishing that property after removing the current.
I agree. I think we made good decisions in looking for those alternatives like instantly. I think that was a really smart thing to do when considering, how extensive the damage is and how expensive it could be. So I'm in support of looking for alternatives as well.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Had some good discussion. All those in favor with the motion to remove, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 3, discussing request for qualifications for the Santa Fe Downtown River Parks Master Plan Design Services and any related matters.
I believe you've heard a little bit about this project. As you know, council adopted a resolution on May 6th to endorse the Concho River Legacy Trail, which is that ambitious sculpture project that starts on the river parks and goes into Santa Fe Park. And I'll also have maps here that kind of show where that will be. And as part of that, and part of the resolution directed staff to issue a request for qualifications to find a firm, hire a firm with their approval that looks at conceptually all the river parks. Let's develop a master plan for that, and then develop plans that incorporate the sculpture project into those parks. And so we took that back to council a few meetings ago, and they concurred and gave us further direction to go ahead and solicit that request for qualifications. So here are the properties that are part of that master plan. We have the northern tip of Santa Fe Park, which is all of this property here. We have Civic League Park, where the water lily collection is. Sunken Garden Park, where the sculpture garden is. This is also Santa Fe Park property here. This is where the Boy Scout building and the Girl Scout building are, but it's not Santa Fe Park property. And then it continues on down. We've separated in different zones: Zone A, Zone B, Zone C, and then Zone D is the largest zone, which picks up where the skate park is, basically here, and continues all the way down to across from the convention center and the gazebo garden and the soon-to-be developed World War II memorial. Let's see. Zone B, where Civic League Park is, part of the master plan is to encapsulate the idea of creating the botanical garden at that location. We have an unofficial botanical garden. We want to make it official at this location. What might that look like? And does it connect and spill over into Santa Fe Park? This plan is kind of getting input on that idea. Zone C, where the sculpture garden is, and Sunken Garden, is looking at how to better connect to the visitor center, to the other properties. There's already a plan for the development of this property. Does it need any changes? Is it something that can move forward? And Zone D is a little more conceptual. A lot of this is already developed, and you don't want to overdevelop a park. You've got to have some open spaces. Let's make sure we capture those locations, protect those locations, and if there's other ideas for adding different things, such as we have the Lady in Blue, or there are other ideas like that could be part of this master plan. That's pretty much the scope. a key thing about this master plan is getting the community engagement. There's going to be at least monthly meetings with the project team and all the stakeholders. So that'll definitely include the Santa Fe Park Commission, Santa Rita Homeowners Association, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Public Art Commission, Santa Fe Museum of Fine Arts, School District, primarily because Central is right near those properties, downtown San Angelo, the Area Foundation, and other city leaders. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. If you can think of anybody else who needs to be involved as part of the community, let me know. And so we talked about what this plan would include: conceptual plans, primarily integration of the Concho River Legacy Trail, the sculpture project. And this is the timeline. The RFQ went out July 31. We'll get those back at the end of August. The selection committee will help us score those submissions and come up with our finalists. I'm talking maybe 3 or 4 finalists. The finalists will come and make a presentation to that committee. And then they'll select a recommendation to take to council, probably in October. And then the services will begin after that. We do need a representative on that first selection committee. I've temporarily tagged you, DJ, but as part of this item, y'all can make a recommendation. It's fine.
If somebody else wants to do it, no? Just keep me in touch on the dates, or September 24th? Okay.
September 24 looks like it's going to be the day for the finalists to come.
Okay, cool.
I think that's it.
So there's one delegate per group for the selection committee. I'm sorry, one delegate per group for the selection committee on the RFQ.
Which group?
Well, for all of them, for each of the, like, one from the Public Arts Commission, one from the Santa Fe Museum, or who is on the selection committee?
Yeah, okay. I was looking for that list.
And where did this idea come from?
I can't hear.
Because, okay, where did the statue
The
project,
idea come from?
it just showed up one day.
Yeah, okay.
And
I can give you background on that.
nobody
I can't
ever said
remember-
anything about it, and then it just showed up.
I can't remember how much y'all were brought in the loop on that discussion. It's actually an older idea. Okay, I found my list. So back about 8 or 9 years ago, I was pushing forward the idea of, let's look at Santa Fe Park. I mean, something's got to happen with it. We've got to put some effort into it, some thought, some planning, some money, and to either fix it up as a golf course or re-envision it as something else. Well, the time wasn't right, but the seed of the idea for the sculpture project came up at that same time. And at the time, I didn't fully understand what it was. I didn't understand until the second go-around. But the idea for this large sculpture project was there at that same time, 8, 9 years ago. So what happened was, more recently, and back up a little bit, the Art Museum has the en plein air paint outside program. And then they judge those works that are painted. And they bring in judges every year. So Mr. Tim Newton, who's a collector, actually a well-known collector nationwide. He ran a gallery on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. He was the editor for Art and Architecture magazine. He's lived in Santa Fe, involved there in a lot of the galleries, and has his own collection, like I mentioned. He was selected as the judge for the en plein air competition for, I think, 2 times. The first time was 6 years ago, and that's how he learned about San Angelo. And so he was looking to move from Santa Fe, and he was thinking San Antonio, but then they thought about, why not San Angelo? And so that's what they did. They moved to San Angelo instead of San Antonio. They live in Santa Rita, across from Julie Raymond, Art and Uncommon Places. She, being a good neighbor, she goes across the street to meet him and say, welcome to the community. Well, she already knew him because of the en plein air, but she was being a good neighbor. Well, as I hear the story, 15 minutes later, she's already got him committed to, to reviving this project and helping to lead the project. So basically, yes, Julie Raymond convinced Mr. Tim Newton to have a conversation with Mr. Steve Stevens, who had the seed of the idea 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe longer than that, I don't know. And they got together and said, yes, let's make a run for it. And so that's how that project came back up. And it wasn't until I went over to the Julie's studio, probably back in March or April, that I sat down with Steve Stevens and Tim and Julie, and Steve told me about the vision for the project. Then I understood what it was. It's basically a narrative and sculpture that involves about 120 sculptures, maybe 110. And they're in
Those
different,
are like life-size.
life-size sculptures,
Right.
bronze sculptures, and they're in collections of 3 to 6 sculptures, depending what that little story is going to be. And it's about this area, prehistory, early history, I think going up to about maybe the 1920s, and then let me go back to the map.
And it's just in Zone C is the only place the sculptures will be?
You're talking about the placement of the sculptures? So the current thought is to start basically here. And it's outside of, this parcel here is not in Santa Fe, but it would start here, cross over, go into part of Kids Kingdom, which is part of Santa Fe Park, and then go into the Santa Fe golf course and maybe up into the open space. So it would affect the use of the golf course. And then it may terminate up here. So it's mostly in Santa Fe Park, but not entirely. And that could change a little bit. At one point, they talked about maybe starting it here near the art museum, but they decided to maybe start down here. So that's part of what this whole master plan is going to help us focus, get the community engaged and help us focus on what properties to use and what this would actually look like. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, well, that's big.
It's very ambitious.
Because that could be, like, I know you and I had talked about that, about the fact that Santa Fe Park could be turned into a green space for, families
Yeah.
to do things and for activities, and so,
So this is going to open up that discussion for everybody to get involved.
okay.
Whoever wants to
So
have
on
input.
statues. How do the people feel across the river
Across the river?
about that?
I don't know personally. They're going to be part of the discussion too.
Okay.
Um,
Just curious.
I don't think anybody's talking about building an amphitheater and putting up big lights and
Right.
big baseball fields. We're talking more pastoral, more subdued. Walking trails, topography, landscaping, sculptures,
Okay.
maybe some picnic areas.
Right.
And part of the discussion is we've got to talk about Kids Kingdom. I mean, we've got to redo that playground. I assume we want to do that. And then do we add a splash pad there? Jesse wants another splash pad.
Let's get him a splash pad.
So yes, it's ambitious. That sculpture project it's going to be at least 20 million, probably 30
That's the one
million.
that I talked to Steve about it, and he said it was like 30, 40 million.
Yeah,
It's a chunk of change.
I think they can do it.
Yeah. And then does that still include the life-size statue of Steve and the life-size
No,
statue
no.
of Lee Pfluger, that Lee Pfluger isn't going to
No,
wind up there?
One thing is understood moving forward from the beginning that will not include, I know you're joking about it, but some folks have been concerned about that. This will not include sculptures of any particular person. No sculpture of Jesse. Not yet.
So like when it comes to sculptures and faces type stuff, is it just mainly to capture like the essence of an era and not a person?
It tells a story. Who was here before the first settlers were here? Who were the first settlers? You know, what did that look like?
There you go.
The fort history, all of that.
That's a good deal.
So with the golfing element, if there's going to be like structure or sculptures that obstruct, is the plan to make it like an open space and subtract the golf?
Oh, in terms of the
Or-
park, yeah, incorporating the sculpture project would affect golf. So part of the conversation includes, well, do we want to keep golf or not? We could keep golf. There's a possibility that you could have a par 3 6-hole course right up here. So yeah, you keep golf, push it that way, and maybe even you could add lights up here. It's away from any of the residential area, and then you could have a driving range there. You could have something that's kind of like Top Golf. I know we don't quite have the market for Top Golf, but maybe something like that. So yeah, you could keep the essence of golf on the property, but not take up the entire property. So this main portion, like I say, open space, topography, landscaping, sculptures, trails, picnic areas. And maybe you could have some spaces where for some smaller events, not big events, but some smaller events.
But how, like the Santa Fe Parks Commission, is this like this is all kind of coming through that board, right?
Yes,
And then
yes.
we are just alongside,
Yes, you're gonna be part of the process.
okay,
Yeah, and it, like I said, it spills out from Santa Fe and goes into parks that y'all have direct recommendation authority on.
okay.
In essence, we'll take all the credit and get none of the blame.
Maybe reverse that.
That's the goal. I'm kidding.
When is do we have anything to do with the current, is the golf course like a lease agreement that exists right now?
Yeah, good question. That did go to the Santa Fe Park Commission,
Okay.
and they recommended a 2-year extension, and we took that to council at the last meeting. It got approved. So we just need to execute that. So the current agreement expires at the end of this September.
Right.
So once this goes into effect, it'll be 2 more years. So that'll give us, this process will take us a year.
Yeah.
So it'll get us through this process, and, it takes a while for things to gear up. Got to have money to do the improvements too, whatever you do. So yeah, we're going to have golf there for at least another couple of years.
Thank you.
No statue of Carl either.
Unless there's a motion and a second to do so.
Right.
It's just a recommendation.
We need a native butterfly garden with your statue. Right?
Butterfly garden would be nice, but
Some
none.
monarchs, there you go. Yeah, right? I'm cool with that.
So yes, so DJ will be the committee representative for to
Perfect, happy to, unless anybody else wants to,
Yeah.
has a passion for it.
you don't have to
Welcome
take.
to, you're 100%
I don't
welcome.
think you
visit?
need action on this. What? To have 2? Oh, the rest of the committee.
Oh, yeah.
So Rick Wise, my boss, me, Karen Hesse-Smith, Harry Thomas, it's in Harry's district. Tim Newton, who's the art collector, DJ, and I can't read this last one. Oh, yeah, a representative from the Santa Fe Park Commission. I don't know who that is yet. So to have 2 of the, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. And I got to be careful because I can't have 2 park commissioners. And yeah. So maybe you can be an alternate. Maybe she can be an alternate in case you can't be there.
Take my spot if you want to, it makes no difference to me.
Just because I do it for a living?
Yeah, she's welcome to take my spot if she wants to.
That's up to y'all. I need one representative, and you could have an
Yeah.
alternate.
You sure?
Yes, ma'am, that's good with me. You're
You
good.
sure?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. You can do it for a living, like you said. Get after it. Bother me.
So it'll be you, Heather.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Well, we'll expect a full report next time,
Yes,
you know.
absolutely. Details.
Yeah, cool. All right. So, to sum that up, do you need a recommendation from us to move
No.
forward with that? Let's
No.
just talk about it. Cool, perfect. Anything else on that? Okay, we'll move on down to item number 4, hear and discuss updates on key activities, projects, programs, and events from Parks and Rec.
We'll let Jesse go first.
Yes, so we just concluded summer day camp. We're at a 10 to 20% increase per week from last year, so experienced some growth. And then, as I've mentioned in a previous meeting, we're able to bring back buses. So now that we have that relation with the ISD for transportation, next year we're going to be looking at adding more field trips, just taking them to different spots. And then now that we know that we're going to be able to do that, we can promote that in advance and hopefully get higher enrollment. Part of that process was we have a new rec coordinator, Christina Garcia, who she's been helping out with not just running summer day camp, but splash pads. So she's learned that, and so we're going to be streamlining some things better on both those ends. Our senior programming, we fed over 1,500 people just at the Santa Fe Crossing location, or 1,500 meals, so you have people who come multiple days, but we did 1,500 meals over the course of the month. And this month, we have a senior dance on Thursday, August 21st from 5 to 7, so 6:18. Just if y'all have any seniors who want to come join the party, or if you feel the need to come and dance, we have seniors that are more than happy to dance with you. And then on the senior side again, Thursday, August 28th from 10 to 11, we're doing an ice cream social. So there's going to be ice cream, but then there's also going to be popsicles for those that might be like not dairy fans or lactose intolerant. So we have that going on too. Sports complex wise, some of the key things that we've had over the summer was the West Texas All-Star Tournament, which that happened right after the flood. So Parks, Mario, and Marcus's teams just really, they put all hands on deck to get fields dry because during that week we had more rain as well. Over 60 teams played in that tournament, and it was a rainy weekend and not like an ideal weekend, but still driving between the pool and the sports complex throughout the weekend, you saw cars decorated with, their kids' softball number and things like that. So it was busy in the city on a gloomy weekend. And then we had a group affiliated with the same group did Midnight Madness, and that was a good turnout, good weather. So looking to do more stuff like that. Adult sports, we're a little bit more than midway through our adult volleyball season. That's being played at Carl Ray and Southside. Those are the gyms that we use for those. And then adult softball is through the first couple weeks. We had to do a late start because since spring we've had a lot of rain. So we had to punt that summer session into like an end of summer, early fall session. But they're 2 weeks through that with 37 adult softball teams. So one day is men's, and then the second day is the co-ed divisions going on. Flag football, we just concluded our regular season of our 5-on-5. And Sean Fields, he's been working on the brackets for this weekend, which I think they were done yesterday. There might be a couple of updates in there. But that's going to be going on at the sports complex this weekend. And then we had, last year we had 47 teams. This year we had over 70 teams for summer football. So it was a very exciting summer for us. Next summer, we more than likely will have to do games on Tuesdays and Thursdays instead of just Thursday nights, which is a good problem to have. Summer track, we had over 130 athletes, and we had several go and compete at the state meet this past weekend. Cool thing about this summer is we hosted the regional meet and in addition to our circuit meet. And this year for state, Texas A&M hosted the track and field portion. So they got to run a Division I track for state. And we had a few athletes place at state and do really well, especially in the distance events and some of the longer sprints. And then on the aquatic side, that's been more because, again, the rain all summer. Attendance has been on the lower side because of all the days we've had to close because of weather and different issues. We are working on adding a new secondary sanitation system in there, but that cost over $40,000 to put in. And but we're now at weekends only at the pool until Labor Day. So now our staff can rest a little bit compared to being open every day. Splash pads, Unidad's been going strong. There's been some repairs we've had to do recently. A lot of that has to do with just the plastic fittings, just the wear and tear on those. And True Tex has helped us to upgrade to more commercial grade that can take kind of the beating of running so long. And we've had some chlorine build up in some spots, so where it gets kicked in, so it's not feeding the way we would like, and we've been able to clean that out and get that repaired. So now that's up and going, and we're learning stuff about the splash pad, which is good because Kirby is about the same system. So it's stuff that we can experience, we can use for the other splash pad, and that's why we're talking about, if we could get another one, we should be masters of the splash pad world by then. Kirby Park, we've been running into some technical issues. Past few days, it's been running longer before drawing an error code. So just so you know, on both systems, there's an electronic box that it'll let you know if the chlorine's too low or high, or acid too low or high, or if there's a low flow issue, like meaning there's not enough circulation in the pipes. A sensor will go off and turn off the system. It's just a safety feature for the system and then for the people. The problem with this system is that once everything gets regulated back in order, it doesn't automatically turn back on. So that's why sometimes it'll be a little bit, because the word has to get around to us and we go out there and turn it back on. But with Kirby, the issue we've been getting is we're getting an error code or an alarm turning on with no error code. So it's a screen that's not telling us, all right, what's the issue? But things will be running fine for hours, and all of a sudden we leave, and then bam, there's an issue. So we've been working through that. But Unidad had issues when it first started last year. A lot of it is getting that water and system regulated to that environment that it's dealing with. And then obviously the new factor of it, so it's going to have surges in people, and you're going to need different levels of chlorine and acid throughout the day depending on the use. And that concludes what I have. Do y'all have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, on the 1,500 meals that were served for the month, is that normal? Is that an average?
Yes, for this time of year, earlier in summer, we were a little low. A lot of that had to do with, we've had a cut in funding, and there was discussion about what we're doing with our offsite locations, and kind of word got around that we were trying to cancel the program. So you had some seniors that were thinking we weren't doing it anymore, and that ended up not being the case. We'll fight to keep what we have at our site going on situation, but other than that, numbers rose back up after that.
All right, my turn. From a maintenance standpoint, we have obviously still been trying to catch up from the flooding and storm events. We've authorized overtime since then to now, and we've got people working weekends, and we're still struggling to keep up, but we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. So now our garden beds are a little bit less fortunate because we've been focusing on the mowing. But they're next on the hit list. So if you go around and you see some garden beds that are overgrown, just know that we are trying to catch up. We are still 10 positions short. That's 10 full-time positions and 1 seasonal, so 11 total. If you know anybody that has a passion for public service, please have them apply. We definitely could use the help. There are several projects that are underway within our park system. One of them being the World War II Memorial Project they broke ground on that, I believe, last week. So there's been some activity out there, and we've been working with the contractor on that project as well to get some of our utilities moved and kind of help them with just guidance on the property. The Texas Bank Sports Complex Storage Building is still, the construction is still underway. We are short-staffed on that end too, so we are just pushing forward the best that we can. We may have to actually pull off of that project to help with the project that's also on the same property, which is the shade structure at the Texas Bank Sports Complex. Contractor will come in and construct that shade structure, but we are responsible for the foundation, which includes the footers and anchor bolts, and there's some additional work that is required on that end before they can come in and start. We've got the Civic League entryway sign that we have already got the contract for. PO has been issued. We're just waiting till hopefully after Lily Fest to start that construction, just to make sure that there are no events that are, conflicting and that sort of thing. Brown Park, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the pickleball court has been kind of fenced off for the last few months. We went in and tried to do some resurfacing on our own, and it didn't turn out as good as we were hoping. So we have since gone after a contract for a vendor that does that specialty type work, and they are actually scheduled to start tomorrow. So hopefully within the next week or so, that'll be complete and be back open to the public. Let's see. Recently we did sod the areas around the splash pad at Unidad and Kirby Park. We were fortunate that there was some additional funds left over from that project, so they agreed to purchase the sod and we installed it. Our staff kind of blitzed it the same way that Jesse was mentioning, blitzing the softball tournament when we were trying to get the fields dry. It was kind of all hands on deck. So from time to time, we do those types of things just to knock them out, but it also does put us behind on other things. So other than that, we're just business as usual, kind of just trying to stay afloat, keep our head above water. So do you guys got any questions for me?
Have you done any, is there any sort of targeted marketing campaigns to try to get people to apply?
I know they advertise positions on the city website. From time to time, they'll host job fairs. They haven't done that in a little while, but maybe it's something I can reach out to our communications department and have them advertise.
I mean, even just if you created some sort of, I know this has to go through the whole, city staff, but if you can get some sort of digital, flyer, and then I'm sure we would all be happy to pass
Sure.
that around or, share it.
I'll get with Brian and see if there's something they can put together to advertise on social media.
I mean, I've been telling people by word of mouth,
Right,
and I've been saying, don't get upset if it's not mowed right now. We're 9-10 people short.
Yes. So I think we still got our 50 viewers, so maybe they'll pass the word along too. So.
All right. Anything else?
This is C's last meeting.
Oh, that's right.
We don't have any parting gifts or cake, but she's going on to pursue her law degree.
Big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I guess I'll speak now. Thank you, everyone. Obviously, you had to be here, but I'll thank you anyway for the applause. I'm really appreciative for the time I've had on the board and the opportunity that our now mayor gave me whenever he recommended me to do this. I'm sad leaving. I thought my last meeting would be the last one, but this one will be officially the last one. But I'm really grateful. I've learned a lot. I'm excited to see the way that y'all continue to impact San Angelo in such a positive way. So thank y'all.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service, Z. All right. Consider any future agenda items.
We do have a couple. So the Salvation Army, again, has requested use of part of Producers Park for their program for the fall. So we'll bring that to the September 3 meeting. And then I need to bring Chase with the International Water Collection to give an update of his operations. His agreement is on his last year, at the beginning of next year. And so either at the next meeting or the October meeting, we should talk about that. Do we want to move that, keep moving it forward? So far, things are going great. I mean, he's definitely got a different philosophy than Ken did. Ken focused more on hybridization, but Chase is more like about the whole ecology of the basins and everything. So I think it's time for us to bring him back for a report.
Perfect. All right. Before we adjourn, any other items of discussion, comments? All right. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn and a second.
I motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, see?